Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I am back with some more Jeep Galore. Fantastic stuff here. Of course, this is the U.S. Army Jeep from World War II, the MB Jeep, 1/8 scale from EXO Collections. If you'd like to build this for yourself, head over to EXO Collections and you can purchase the whole kit as itself. I don't believe they do a subscription for this. You have to purchase the whole kit. It arrives in a big old box. If you go to my playlist, you can see the size of that box in my playlist. So I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm trying to make my old iPad work here. It's not very good for anything but viewing files. Now it's really a lot of the apps are unsupported in this iPad. It's so old. I should buy another cheap one that's supported and I can do what I want with it. But this works fine for looking at online instructions and surfing the internet. So I just updated the YouTube on this and it told me it's not up to date, even though I updated it. So we'll see what Apple does here. And, it blanks out an app that needs to be updated, never updates it. And let's see if it opens it up. Now that it restarted. I had to restart it. Hasn't been restarted in a while. Yep. Update available. Okay, now it's offering an update. Let's go. Let's go. There it is. Update. Oh, it wants me to update my iOS. All right, so let me go to my iOS. Gosh. All right. Not fun. So today's my youngest daughter's birthday. So we're gonna have dinner with them tonight. So yeah, it looks like this is old. It's not going to allow me to do that. So iOS 12.5.8, but it wants iOS 16 or something like that. Crazy. Hmm. Yeah. So I won't be able to do what I want to do with this. All right. Okay. So I am going to open up the chat on my phone here. There we go. Please tap the like button real quick. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Hit the like button. I would appreciate that. It helps get this video out there. Helps spread the word with YouTube if you hit the like button. Yesterday's, I had like 200 people view the video and only got 3 likes. So let's increase those likes if you would, please. So the chat is opened up. It's live. If you have any questions about what I'm doing here today. Now, I am in the process of filming my stages for this build for the Willy's MB Jeep U.S. Army version from XO Collections. And I didn't open the hood up yesterday. I should go ahead and do that. It's got little clamps that hold the hood down. Which makes it nice, so I can open up the hood there, and there you go. There's the engine. So I'll bring that up a little closer. You can see that. Fully detailed engine on this, just like the SAS Jeep there. And I did a lot of mods on this where I hid the wiring and protected the wiring. So you really can't see the wiring inside the engine compartment. Very good. So that's the engine. I'll clamp it back down with the little hood clamps. There we go. There and there. Okay. And the windshield wiper blades work. That is cool. They are hand crank type window blades. There was no motor on them. The driver or passenger had to do the windshield wiper blades. So that makes that very nice. All working and fantastic there. So this is you get the full manual. When you get the full kit, you get the full manual. Makes it nice. So I will move the Jeep out of the way and do an intro. I am monitoring the chat, so join me on the chat if you would. I have numerous lights that I can turn on and off to do away with the glare. So we left off on stage 75 yesterday. And did I drop one somewhere? No. Okay. 8, 9. So we're going to do 5 stages this time. Stage 76 through stage 80. Welcome back, friends, to Scale Model Kit Review Studio. This is Steve. I am back with the XO Collections build, the Willy's MB Jeep. This is the World War II U.S. Army Jeep. And it's 1/8 scale. As you can see here, fantastic. I'll be working on 5 more stages in this video, stage 79 through 80. Now the part, I messed that up, stage 76 through 80. All right. Welcome friends to Scale Model Kit Review Studio. Welcome friends to Scale Model Kit Review Studio. This is Steve. Welcome back to another video of the XO Collections Build the Willys MB Jeep. Now you can only get this from XO Collections. It is actually available as a complete kit when you order that from them. So head over to XO Collections. I put a direct link in the description below. I'll be building 5 more stages. We left off on stage 75 in the last video. So I'll be continuing here with stage 76 through 80. So that's 5 more stages here. For stage 76, looks like we'll be assembling the spare wheel and tire. That's what that looks like there. Stage 77, we have some what they got, pioneering tools, which looks like the shovel and hold downs for that. And then we start on the 50 caliber machine gun on stage 78. Continue with the 50 cal 79. And again, once again, more parts for the 50 caliber with stage 80. All right, let's go ahead and get started on stage 76. All right, so that's my intro filmed. Also, if I have time, depends on how fast I get through this, I will be starting on Pack 5. Pack 5 for the British SAS Willy's Jeep. Okay, so that's Pack 5 here. This is the size box it came in. We open this up. You can see everything is nicely packed in there. And of course, we did install one of the fenders yesterday. So we have more parts here. Equipment, looks like a radio, another fender. We have about, I think it's 8 more stages here. You can count them up. I like to inventory them when I get them in, because you never know. You might get a double pack of parts, or it might be a pack missing. And in that case, you can contact Galore Models directly, and I usually get a response from them pretty fast when that happens. So humans make mistakes. We're all humans. So I've already checked this out, but it should be, there's 4. Yeah, so there's 4 more in there. So there's 8 stages in this box. We begin on the floor and all that too. We have some wheels and tires that need to go together. Very nice. So I'm looking forward to getting Pack 5 completed. And I got an email yesterday. Pack 6 is on its way. So I'm a little behind on these. All right. Sorry about that. I bumped the screen, bumped the camera. Please join me in the chat. The chat is open. Ask any questions you want or anything you like there. As most of you know, I live in Tucson, so we have a lot going on here. Probably about 8 miles from my house is where all the major media is at. Staging at Pima County Sheriff's headquarters down there on Old Benson Highway. There's a bunch of them over there too. You know, we're hoping to get a breakthrough in that case and bring Nancy home. in that case, if you guys are following along with that. There's a lot of independent journalists covering stuff there, but it pays to follow on your social medias that you like to do, and independent journalists along with mainstream, and get all the scoop you can about that. So I'm going to go ahead and continue here. I'm going to film the instructions first. 76. So yeah, this is the spare wheel and tire, and very easy to assemble if you go ahead and take. Now these instructions here, they don't tell you to go ahead and boil the tire. The tire is very non-pliable. So I'll explain that as we go here. All right. Here's the instructions for stage 76. So we're going to assemble the spare wheel and tire, and we have the mount rack for that too. You can see the parts there and the steps involved, so it should be pretty easy. Okay, they don't tell you here, but you definitely want to boil that tire in hot water for about 3 minutes, and it'll be a little more pliable. It's easier to get the two wheel halves together with that tire being softer. Let's look at the parts. I'll be right back. I'm pretty sure there's no more. Nope. Okay. Let's see here. Where's my photos? Nope. There it is. All right. Okay, so when you purchase this kit, all the parts come in packs. So you have numerous packs that all the parts are boxed into. So with this one, this is stage 76, and you'll find that in pack number 8 of your kit. So this is the wheel and tire. Let's get a closer look. So this is in real life. You're watching me film my stages for this build. You can see exactly how I do things. Everything here is protected in the blister pack, makes it nice. And you can see here what I was talking about, that tire is solid, it's not moving, and it makes it hard to press the two halves of the wheels together to get the screws in. So it's a good idea to boil it. I put it in boiling water for like 3 minutes. It gets really soft, doesn't harm it. I haven't had any issues with that. So it works great. All right. I need to zoom in with my camera from above that I'm filming with. Get a closer view. We have our mounts for the wheel and tire. So all our screws, the spacer. Take that out. So with this one, we're pretty much completing the Jeep except for the canvas top, which will go on a little bit later. All right. Okay. Here's a close-up of those parts, and here's the tire like I was talking about. I really can't even move it. It's not pliable at all, so it's important you want to go ahead and heat that up in boiling water like I talked about for about 3 minutes. I've never had any issues with boiling these for 3 minutes. I'll wrap it in foil, bring it back up here, and we'll install the wheel on it. The wheel presses on it easier with the tire being soft. And then we have the wheel itself, 2 halves made of metal, and we have the spacer for mounting the tire. And then we have,
here's what I found from easyautomotive.com. Spacer.
my excuse me there, Siri was speaking to me. And then we have our mount for the spare tire. This is made of metal here, so that makes it cool. The rest are plastic. All right, so get my screws ready. For the wheel. And they will be the BM screws first. Get them all undone here. A little humid out there today because we had all that rain yesterday, but not too bad. So we're going to put this together with 4 BM screws. I'll get those ready. All right, so I will be back in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and go downstairs and boil this. So give me a few minutes and I'll be back. I am back. I am back. All right. Get this ready here. All right, I am back. I just got done heating up this tire. Like I said, there it is. And you can see how pliable it is now. Very nice. So we can take our wheel, put it on one side, and line it up. Line up your holes. Very easily there. Good. And start our first BM screw. The tire is very hot, so I'm holding it by the wheel, which is cooler. And I don't have it lined up. There we go. I believe that is it. Yep. So I'll get them all four started first and then crank them down. Now you can put a little bit of oil on them, which is probably what I should have done to help it along. So I'll go in there, I'm gonna put some oil on these. And I actually am not gonna film myself doing all this. But that's how you do it. It makes it easy to install these tires on the wheels. Three-in-one oil works great for this. All right. So now I can crank them down. I'll use my bigger screwdriver for that, which is my Willy PH1 screwdriver. It gets a better bite on those screws. And there we go. There we go. Using my larger PH1 screwdriver for this, the Willy brand screwdriver. Highly recommend it. And all screws are tight. Looks good. And ready to install this on the Jeep. This is the spare wheel. All right, so see how this mount goes real quick. Okay. So we have a mount for the wheel, and there's like a shelf below it that gets installed. All right. Another helicopter flying over. Could be a medical helicopter. We get a lot of those out here. And here's our mount for the spare tire. And I'm not sure which direction, but I'll show you that when I get to it. But WM screws will go into that, 4 of them. So it does matter which direction it goes. Okay, looks like the shorter side on top. Okay. So with these WM screws, they are smaller. I'm not going to put oil on them. And with the mount, you can see it's not centered on the bracket, so you want the shorter side on top to be mounted that way. Get one of the screws started here. And there's so much paint on this bracket, it kind of cuts through the bracket, the screw does. So now I can line it up and screw it in. There we go. Yeah. Crazy. Is that even the right screw there? Yep. So with this bracket, it's trying to cut through the bracket before it gets to the body. You may want to put oil on yours just to help it along. And that one went right through, no problem. Last one. Yeah, I think I need to put oil on it because, or at least on one of them. different screw in for this. Maybe it's the wrong screw in that bag. Yeah, it's bigger. So one of the screws they gave me was the wrong size in the WM. That happens every now and again. All right. Perfect. Now they're all tight. Okay. So I'll go ahead and show that. Actually, I'm going to install the other bracket first and show them at the same time. And these will be DM screws. A lot of DM screws with this kit too. So it is fun though. I enjoyed it. So this is this bracket. It's rounded, and it takes 3 screws, it looks like. So I need to get another one out. Yeah, that looks good. It's plastic. All right. All right, that bracket's installed. All 4 are tight there. Next, we put on this little mount bracket down below, and it takes 3 DM screws, just like that. And again, you want to get all 3 screws started before you tighten them down. And you don't want to over tighten the screws because they're going through plastic. This little bracket is plastic, and if you over tighten the screw, it could crack it. It could crack the part. So just snug. There we go. So it doesn't talk about the spacer. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it doesn't show a picture of the spacer, but the spacer definitely needs to go on there when you put the wheel on. All right, so let me film that. All right, so the bracket is installed. All 3 screws are in. Be careful you don't over tighten those screws. You could crack the plastic part. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the wheel on. So the wheel will just go down on there just like that. We'll put a spacer in, and then we'll put an OM screw into that. But first, what I like to do is get the thread started with that OM screw first before I put the wheel on it. I'll be back. All right, OM screw is a bigger screw. It's got a flange on it, just like the other ones. And I'm going to put some oil on this screw. Generous spot of oil, and screw this screw it in as tight as straight as possible to get the thread started. And then I'll screw it back out. And this is what I like to do to all the axles too, when I'm putting the wheels and tires on those too. There we go. Now I'll back it out. Okay. And I'll go ahead and film it from above. All right, so I have my thread started. I'll put my wheel on next. That just sits in there. And don't forget the little spacer. That goes in there too. I'll put the spacer on my OM screw. And then I can screw it in. Hold everything together. Go. And a little bit snug, that's good. And that's what that looks like there, installed. And then we'll simply put our cap on last. Just press fits. You hope. There we go. And the cap is on. So that's all we do for stage 76. So that's all I do for stage 76. Let's head over and get started on stage 77. All right, so 77 coming up. We're going to be installing some pioneering tools, shovel and such, I believe. 477. Yep. We're going to assemble the shovel and install it. 2 pages of instructions here. Here's the instructions for stage 77. This would be our shovel and mount for it. We're going to assemble the shovel first. And then we're going to go ahead and mount the shovel to the left-hand side of the chassis or the body. That's what that looks like there. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. All right. Here's the parts for stage 77. Let's get a closer look. All right. Oops. All right. All right. Zoom in a little bit closer so I can show the parts. And okay, the handle's plastic. What is that? Let's look at the nomenclatures of these real quick. Hatchet. We have a hatchet also, an axe. Okay. All right. And mount for the mount for the shovel is metal also. The axe hatchet itself is metal. That's cool. And the mount for the axe is plastic. Tiny piece here. I hope y'all can hear me fine. I'm kind of talking soft. Sorry about that. Kind of talking to myself here, but I'm not filming. Well, I am filming actually, but I'm going to edit that all out. All right. Here's a close-up of those parts. We have NP, MP, and WM screws. We have the mount for the hatchet or the axe here. There's the handle for it. And here's the axe itself. It is made of metal. It's very cool. Then we have the shovel itself. The shovel handle is made of plastic. The mount for the shovel is metal. And of course the shovel spay or whatever you want to call it is made of metal. Very cool. All right. And all right. Get my screws ready. And a lot of this I'm not going to show. I'm just going to show what I did to complete it. Nobody wants to see people put screws in the whole time. That's pretty easy to do. Self-explanatory. So we're going to build the shovel first and then the axe. I'll just put that out so I can see the screws that I need to use. This takes MP screws. All right. So these are MP screws, P meaning plastics. So we want to be careful with these that we don't over tighten them. All right, that's done there. Put that aside. I'm going to build the hatchet next. And with the hatchet, you have a narrow and large size. And that's going to take NP screws, 3 of them. So they didn't give me any spares, or did they? Hang on. 2 screws, okay. Interesting. So these are recessed style screws too. If I can get them out of the bag. Let me look at it again. Okay, so there's marks from the mold process that you don't want facing up, you want them facing down. I mean, you're really probably not going to see it anyway because it's going to be mounted on the Jeep. Again, not too tight. Tiny little screws. The PHO screwdriver works fine on them though. There we go. And then we can put our press fit. Perfect. Okay. And I went ahead and built the shovel and the hatchet off camera. So we used MP screws for the shovel itself, 2 of them. And I used 2 NP screws for the hatchet on the back side there. And just pay attention to that. No real issues going on there. Don't over tighten those screws for the hatchet because they are going into plastic. Then you just press fit the hatchet itself onto it. Now you notice that the holes match here because that's for installing it on the chassis. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and install these and I'll be right back. I'll show you what I did. All right. This metal or plastic? Plastic. All right. One is longer than the other. So I would say the longer side goes underneath so you don't see it through the top. All right. WM screws for that. Let's go on the other side. All right. All right, so this just press fits next here. Next I mount the mount bracket. Next I install the mount bracket for the hatchet. Now note that one end is longer than the other. I assume the longer is going to go on the bottom versus the top, because the top, you don't want to see it protruding inside of the interior of the Jeep. Okay, so that's what that looks like there. That looks good. It may not hurt to super glue that in place, but that's what that looks like there. Then I'll take the hatchet here, and it's going to line up with those holes here. There's a hole there, there's a tab there, and a tab there. We're going to line that in, so we're going to route the handle through there, and put that there and there. Okay, and that looks good there. And I think I'll go ahead and glue the bottom in place, because that's not staying in place, so I'll do that. Put some glue here on the bottom part. Okay, let me go get my glue. So I'll be using some CA glue for this because it's metal and plastic. And I'll hold it down and glue it from the back. Now I'll just hold that for a little bit. I could put some accelerator on it, but no need. Very little glue here. So I'm just gluing the hold down bracket for the hatchet just on the one side. The other side was tight, so it's not an issue. Okay, that's good. All right, so I glued the one side of the hold down bracket for the hatchet from underneath on the back side with super glue, and I used my Super T by Satellite City. And of course I keep all my CA glue or super glue in the refrigerator for storage. It lasts a lot longer when you do that. All right, so now we need to install the shovel, looks like on the other side. Or no, it's on this side. Okay. Same side. The shovel goes on the opposite side. It's going to go on the opposite side here. Zoom out. Next, the shovel gets installed. It's going to get installed right here, basically. There we go, like that. And it's got a hold down bracket. I'll do that over. Next, the shovel will get installed above the hatchet. And next, the shovel itself is going to get installed above the hatchet, and it's going to line up with that tab there. And we have a bracket that gets installed on the shovel side, made of metal. So I'll install that bracket and I'll be right back. I believe it goes like that. Yeah. WM screws. Two of those. I may put some oil on these. They're a little bit longer. Just a little bit of oil for these screws because they're a little bit longer. I need to put it where I can see it. And again, you want to get them both started before you tighten them down. Too much oil. Okay. Perfect. All right, so both WM screws are installed. All right, both WM screws are installed. I used a little bit of oil on those. And we can go ahead and line up our shovel to that. And remember, there's a tab that sticks up that goes inserted to help hold it in place. And just like that. And that's how that looks there. So that completes stage 77. Let's head over and get started on stage 78. We're going to start on the 50 caliber machine gun. All right. And I'll probably zoom you guys in so you can see a little closer on what I'm doing for the 50 cal. All right. Nobody wants to join the chat. I know yesterday my live stream locked up for a few minutes, and I think there was issues with, not that I think, I know. So a little bit later, there was YouTube had a complete shutdown altogether, giving people some problems, and I think that was part of it because a lot of people experienced the same thing I did before that happened. So interesting day yesterday for YouTube. All right. 50 cal time. And I'll zoom in here in a second for you guys. right, so now I get to start working on the 50 caliber machine gun. Here's the instructions for stage 78. This is for the 50 cal machine gun, so we're beginning that. There's all the parts. And looks like the barrel and handles and such. Wire ring. That's what that looks like. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. This is cool. Got the barrel and everything. So it looks like pack 9 for this. Here's the parts for stage 78, and you can find these in pack 9 of your kit. Let's get a closer look. Some parts protected in plastic too. These are plastic parts. Still, one of them, well, this is on its tree still here. And the handle itself also made of plastic. You could probably bend a metal. That might be metal. I don't know yet. I'll have to look at it. Yeah, it's metal. Sounds like it. For the handle on the barrel. So zoom in a little closer. Definitely want to see all these parts. Plastic. That sounds metal. That's plastic. All right. Here's the parts for stage 78. This is the 50 caliber machine gun. So this is the barrel itself, and it is made of metal. Very nice. We have the end of the barrel, which is plastic. That's fine. You'll never know the difference there. We have the cooling jacket, and that's made of plastic also. And we have some handle rings and connector and such. So we'll go ahead and get this started. All right. So the cooling jacket goes on it first. Goes like that. Or like that. Yeah. Okay. All right, just like that. Go ahead and put the cooling jacket on first, and we'll just slide the barrel through it. Makes it easy. And it's going to go all the way down to the end of the barrel, just like that. Okay. Next, we're going to take this grab handle for the barrel. We're going to slide these D-rings onto it because they mount to the barrel itself. So I need to cut them off first. Cut them off the tree. Well, I was going to zoom in for you guys. Hang on. There we go. A little bit better for you. So we'll cut these rings off the tree. And we'll route those rings through the metal handle. It's pretty cool. And that's how that goes there, like that. The other one on there. So these rings just slide through on this metal handle. And these rings are so we can mount the handle to the barrel. There we go. Just like that. Now slide those rings onto the barrel. You want some separation here with those. And I think one ring is bigger than the other, so I'm going to turn it around. Try that. Yeah. Okay. So one ring is bigger than the other, so if you don't have it on right, just flip it around. And that's what that should look like. And we'll put our little metal, this is actually a metal tube here. You can see that. And that goes on the end. Like that. And like that. Perfect. That is cool. I like how that goes together. That's nice. There's the handle for the barrel. And lastly, oh, okay. So I needed to put my little ring in between. So we'll do that. So I'll slide everything out. Slide this out. And put the ring in, the metal ring in between. And then do the ring on the outside. There we go. So the instructions aren't real clear, but they mention part numbers. So pay attention to the part numbers. And about just like that, what it shows in the drawing. And then we can put our barrel on the end of the barrel. And that just press fits. Just like that. Okay. Get everything lined up. And there's your 50 caliber machine gun barrel. So that's all I do for stage 78. Let's head over and get started on stage 79. All right. So that holds the hood down. That's cool. Interesting. I don't want to hold the hood down. But talking to myself here, I just discovered these little hooks on the hood help hold the windshield down. Never noticed that before. Okay. All right. So we'll get that ready. Go ahead and film the instructions next for 79. So we have two more stages, 79 and 80 to build. All right. Here's the instructions for stage 79. We're going to continue with the 50 caliber machine gun. Here's all the parts. And start assembling that. Looks like the cocking handle. And continuing on the next page, installing the barrel, put the two halves of the machine gun body together, and putting the sight on it. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. All right. Here's the parts for 79. Let's get a closer look. All right. A lot of fun building this Jeep. This part too, especially the machine gun. Really cool. You know, most of the parts on the machine gun are metal, so it makes it very cool. Very nice replica, miniature replica. All right. Get a little closer. All right, there. Plastic parts too. Lots of little parts bagged separately here. Wow, what is that? Oop. Okay. All right. All right, so yeah, there's a couple more. It's like a metal spring, U-shaped spring, and a plastic piece. There we go. And then our screws. We have some tiny IP screws too, so. Is that metal or plastic? That's plastic. Oh, that's the sight. Okay. There we go. DM, IP, ZM, and YM. All right, here's a close-up of those parts. We have DM, ZM, IP, and YM screws. Here's the main body for the 50 cal machine gun. We'll do that over. All right. Here's a close-up of those parts. We have DM, ZM, and IP. Here's a close-up of those parts. We have DM, ZM, IP, and YM screws. The IP screws are very tiny. We have the 50 cal machine gun body made of metal. Very cool there. Both sides. And then we have our sight, which is plastic. We have a spring here made of metal. All right. And I'm probably going to keep this video short. I'm going to stop filming when I'm done with this, and we'll do another live when I do pack 5 for the SAS Jeep. Okay, so let's see what we got to do here next. So we got the cocking handle that needs to be assembled. IP screws, so those are those tiny screws. Use my smaller screwdriver for that, the 01. The PH01 screwdriver for that. And the cocking handle. So, yep. Okay. All right. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Uh-huh. Next, I'll install the cocking handle, or that's the first thing, right? Yep. First thing we'll do is we'll assemble the cocking handle. We use these very tiny IP screws, so I'm using my PH01 Weir screwdriver for that, and I'll route this bracket through. It has a recess, so you want that screw to go through the recess side, just like that, and then we'll screw that on the handle very carefully. Easier said than done. So what may help also is go ahead, get it started first and back it out. Because that's the thing, we're trying to cut threads here. Maybe use a little bit of oil on it. If it was pointed, it would be easier, but it's not pointed. The screw's not pointed. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so get the screw started first on it, a little bit of oil, drive it in, and pull it out. A little easier there. Okay. And insert the screw through the side that has the recess, like that, and then thread it in. Should thread in real easy now. There we go. Okay, so that's the cocking handle. There we go. Perfect. That's what that looks like there. So there will be some editing involved with that. Next, we put it on the machine gun, and it lines up. Let me back out just a little bit here. Oops. All right. What does that take? DM. So I'll use a DM screw on this. Everything is tiny, small, as you can see. DM screw is a little larger. I'll put some oil on it. Get it ready before I film. All right. Next, our cocking handle gets mounted on the side of the machine gun, and it has an alignment pin. So it helps line it up in place where it needs to go, and then we'll hold it down with a DM screw. I did use a little bit of oil on it to help it along. Okay. Just to make sure my alignment pin still lines up. There it is. Cocking handle installed. Now we do something with the front of the sight. We have this and this part. It doesn't show a screw goes in it yet, but that's what that should look like right there. For now, that's the front of the sight. Next, the back of the sight goes in that, it gets slotted in. And you could probably super glue all that in place to help hold it in if you wanted to. We'll install the barrel next. And that slots in just like that. looking to see how I guess we don't slot in the sight just yet. We slot in the sight later when we put our 3 screws in. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and put that in there though. That came all apart, of course. I think maybe a little bit of super glue on that to help it along. So that's what I will do. Some tweezers. Yeah, that didn't work. That's really tiny. Try again. All right. I got to trim that a little bit. Got to trim the plastic sight. There we go. Okay. All right, and line up the sight itself to that. Okay. Put just a little bit of super glue on that. Okay. So I'm super gluing this sight in place there. You can kind of see that. I'm also going to throw a little super glue up here. Lock that sight in place. Good. Now we can put the 2 halves together here. This right here, that's going to go on top and sandwich everything together. Okay. Perfect. Then our screws go in on the other side here. We have 3 Z. We have a ZM screw up there and 2 YM screws back here. ZM and YM. So it definitely helps to super glue your sights to help hold everything together for this. The ZM screw goes on top here. It's smaller in diameter but long. I put some oil on it. And we'll screw it through the sight and everything. Okay, that's good there. 2 YM screws out. So YM screw goes in here. And right there. There we go. And all 3 screws are in. You can kind of see the sight detail, the front sight, and the back sight. Very cool. All right, film the overall view of the machine gun. And there you go. That completes stage 79 for the 50 caliber machine gun. That looks great, I must say. Really very authentic looking, very nice. Let's head over and do the final stage for this video, stage 80. So just make sure everything's tight here. Okay. I think there's another screw that goes in. Maybe on the other side. No, that's it. Check real quick the instructions, make sure I didn't skip anything. Sometimes I do that. Yeah, there's one on the back side. Okay. And another YM screw goes back here. Okay. And the last YM screw is in. All 3 YM screws are put in here now with the ZM screw on top. I'll be right back. So I had to refilm that section because I left a screw out. Here you go. So that completes stage 79. 50 caliber machine gun looks great here so far. Let's head over and get started on stage 80, which is the final stage for this video. All right. So for this build, I've used 3 different size screwdrivers. You have your PH01, which is the small one, PHO, and then a PH1. I'm sorry, this is the small one is the PHOO, PH00, then the The medium one is the pH 0, and then the larger one is the pH 1. So it looks like we continue here with the locking rod, the grip mounts, shock absorber, trigger. Okay. Stage 80. Here's the instructions for stage 80. And we got the locking rod, grip mounts, grips, shock absorber, safety, and trigger. Got that and that. And the next page, there, there, and there. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 80. Let's get a closer look. So they are tiny parts here. Again. Some are still attached to the tree, sprue tree. More tiny screws and parts. So that looks metal. Yep. Plastic, plastic. It's metal. They feel metal. All right. Zoom in closer here. That. Tiny, tiny, tiny. That's metal also. Lots of metal parts. And some plastic. Okay. All right, we have the locking rod here. That's made of metal, along with the shock absorber, which is plastic. We have trigger. That's the trigger. We have the wooden handles for the grips, the grip mounts themselves, and the safety, which is on the tree there. AM, IP, and TM screws. Okay. So the trigger needs to get cut off. So I cut the trigger off the tree. We're going to insert that on the back side of the machine gun. And that goes in the smaller hole on top. just like that. Now it probably has to be turned a certain way. Okay, the shock absorber goes next. Just like that. And it probably wouldn't hurt to put a little super glue on those. That's how that looks. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some super glue on this. All right. A little bit of super glue. Put some super glue for the trigger. On top here. Just like that. That's going to hold that in place because we got to put a handle, our top bracket of our handle on there with 2 YM screws. Yep, there we go. So here's our top bracket. You can see it has a little tab on it that's going to line up with your trigger that we put in there, that photo etch trigger. And these are TM screws we're using for this. So we need to get the screws started first through the handle. Wow. Yep. So I need to ream out the holes a little bit with an X-Acto blade so the screws can go through. With this handle, it's a good idea to make the hole larger with an X-Acto blade. So that's what I'm doing here. There we go. Perfect. That's going to go down on top here. So that's down on top there like that. Get the other one in. Very tiny. That's what that looks like there. So we'll tighten those down. That's good there. And you can see how that looks. So a little bit of super glue, CA glue is your friend here. Now they want us to put our grips on, but I'm thinking we can put the grips on after we put the bottom bracket in place. So same thing for the bottom bracket. We need to go ahead and line it up to the hole that's in the middle there. But we need to make these holes a little bit larger because they require the TM screws. So same thing here. Use an X-Acto blade to make the holes larger. Now this is a metal part, so very tedious work. And 2 more TM screws. So be careful with the front sight. So hold it off the bench. Get my screw lined up. I need to make the hole larger, but I think it's all right. There we go. Interesting. Very fiddly here. Here we go. So I'm getting there. I'll probably leave these a little loose while I put the handles on. Just so I have some movement there. Okay. Now the handles can go in next. Okay, so I have the bottom bracket installed for the handles, and I left it loose just a little bit right here. All right, so I got the bottom bracket installed, and I left it just a little bit loose so I can put the wooden handles on next, and they'll get screwed in with TM screws, real small TM screws. I'll be right back. So I'll definitely do this off camera. IP screws, right? Not TM. Why am I saying TM? 4 IP screws. And they are tiny. All right, I'll do that again. Okay, I have the bottom bracket installed for the handles. I left them loose just a little bit so I can install the wooden handles inside of there with IM screws, and these are very tiny screws. I'll be right back. Now I might want to start the screw first on the handle and then line it up. Yeah. So get the thread started on the handle first. Now I might want to make the beginning of the hole just a little larger for the initial install. There we go. And it shouldn't be a problem now. These are tiny. Okay, there's one. All right. Get everything lined up. Wow. Now, that hole needs to be opened up on the bracket because it's got flash or metal flash in there. Here we go. Okay, so I had to take and open the hole up a little bit for the wooden handle, get everything lined up, and then the little eyepiece screw can go into that. Same on the other side. Gotta hold the handle because it will spin. There we go. So that looks good there. So I just, with the handle, widened the hole a little bit with the X-Acto blade, just on the front, so the screw can go into it easier. Both sides. All right. Yeah. Very fiddly here, but I'm getting there. It will get done. Again, widening holes a little bit here. The metal parts have some flash in the hole, so that's the whole purpose of running the X-Acto blade through that and getting it started. There we go. Now I just need to hold a handle and I'll be done with these handles. Make all kinds of funny faces, screwing these screws in. And there we go. Then, don't want to forget to tighten up those screws I put in on top of the handle. get those secured in. Good. All right. Whew. Wow. Okay, so now the wooden handles are completely installed, both ends with those IP screws, very tiny. And then I went ahead and I tightened down the bottom bracket, made it secure, those two screws, because I had them loose. So everything's tight now. So that looks good. That's what that looks like. So we have one more part to install. And that is the locking rod. And that goes on the bottom with an AM screw. All right. One more step here. So this machine gun mounts in the back of the Jeep, I believe. But we still have some parts to install on it. We have the ammo can and the mount still. That's going to be the next video. And which way do they want me to put it in? On this side? Okay. And I'm going to use oil on the AM screw. All right, next we install the mount rod, and that goes in there. We're going to put an AM screw into that. I'm going to use a little bit of oil for that. We'll get the screw started in it a little bit. Put the rod in where it needs to go and screw it through. There we go. That's how that looks. Great. I'll be right back. All right. That was fun. Took a few hours, but makes it a lot of fun when you can do that. So I'll film a there we go. Okay. And there you go. That completes stage 80 for this build. We got most of the 50 caliber machine gun completed here, and I must say it looks great. So that completes this video. Stages 76 through 80. If you think you'd like to get this for yourself, head over to XO Collections and purchase this for yourself. Bring over the Jeep. Okay. And the machine gun. There we go. And like I said earlier in the video, this Jeep is only available through XO Collection. It is the Willy's MB Jeep from World War II, the U.S. Army Jeep. I put a direct link in the description below where you can purchase this for yourself. So if you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button, everybody. Smash the like button. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy modeling. All right. That's my intro that's done. But yeah, this machine gun. Remember that old movie, The Rat Patrol? There we go. Love it. But those Jeeps were cool. All right. That looks good. Really like that machine gun. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. All right, you guys get a better view of the Jeep. We put pioneering tools on the side there, the spare tire in the back, built the machine gun in this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned stuff from me here. Like I said, it comes with experience. If you have a little experience with this, building this Jeep, it will make the Galore Models SAS Jeep build all the more easier to do. Thanks for joining, and if you haven't smashed the like button, please smash the like button. All right, everybody, take care, happy modeling, and we will see you again on another IRL live video. Take care. Peace.